Becoming Naomi Leone, Chapter 14. A Leap of Leopards. Church bells clanged, announcing Sunday Mass, and as soon as they finished their long echo, the phone rang. Flora answered it, and said, "Ruben?" She looked puzzled. I held my breath. Ruben was outside, with Owen, and even though I probably wouldn't be able to talk to the person on the line, I still wanted to grab the receiver. Flora handed the phone to Graciela. Graciela looked at Graham and me, also confused. Ruben does not get calls. She took the phone and began talking. While she listened to the caller, she glanced at me. I picked at my pan dulce, sweet breakfast bread, making a tiny pyramid of crusty pastry, praying it was news about my father. Graciela reached for a pencil and paper and wrote down a message, thanked the caller, and hung up. She walked to the door and called Ruben and Owen. In a few minutes, the three of us sat on one side of the table, facing Flora, Fabiola, Graham, and Graciela. Owen and Ruben wiggled and squirmed, eager to get back outside to play. But I suspected, based on the way Graciela's arms were crossed, this was not going to be a picnic. It seems my son and his new friends have been calling listings in the phone book and asking for Santiago Leone, said Graciela. Someone they called yesterday told me that yes, they have discovered they are a cousin by marriage of Santiago's aunt, Teresa. They spoke to Ruben for a long time yesterday. I have the number. That is the good news. Ruben and Owen clapped their hands. I started to smile until I saw Graciela's serious face and raised eyebrows. Here it came. Now the bad. But the person who called lives in a neighborhood outside of the city. It's a toll call, which means it costs money for each minute. Graciela studied the paper, looking worried. How many calls did you make outside of our area? I took a deep breath. Probably lots. Naomi, I am surprised at you. You did that? Without permission? Said Graham. I stared at my breadcrumb pyramid and bit my bottom lip. Didn't Graham want me to find my father? Graham stared at Owen and me in disbelief. You can be sure, Graciela, that I will pay for that phone bill, and that these children will work off the error of their ways. Flora said something to Ruben in Spanish, and Ruben hung his head. I will call the number, said Graciela, turning back toward the phone. I wasn't sure, but I thought I saw a tiny smile on Graciela's face. The next morning, standing in front of the narrow mirror in Graham's bedroom, I admired the Mexican girl looking back at me. I wore a new white peasant blouse with puff sleeves that Graham had bought at El Mercado. I touched the gathered neckline and blue and yellow embroidery down the center front. Graham always said that clothes made the person, meaning that when a girl put on a wedding dress, she felt like a bride, or if she put on a three-piece suit, she felt like a business person. I was beginning to think Graham was right, because after completing my outfit with a pair of sliding sandals called huaraches, I knew I fit in with all the other brown girls in the barrio. What would my father's Aunt Teresa think of me? After lunch, Bernardo drove Graham, Fabiola, Owen, and me to another part of Oaxaca City. In the truck, I straightened my new blouse a dozen times, and again readjusted the headband that Graciela had loaned me. Owen played with the snap on the bottom of his new Western-style shirt, the kind Ruben wore. Although not one person in Mexico had said a peep about his tape usage, the plaid pattern of the shirt did help matters by making the strips seem less noticeable. From the front seat, Graham looked back at us every few minutes. She had cooled some about the phone calls, but not until we had raked Flora's yard and pulled weeds all yesterday afternoon. She leaned forward to look out the front window at where we were headed, holding a cotton hanky she'd bought at El Mercado. She'd already worried it into a twisted roll, which reminded me that she was hungry for information too. We drove past churches and parks with statues and fountains, past open markets and men selling ice cream from wheeled pushcarts at street corners. More bumpy streets with big potholes bounced us on the seat. Finally, we headed down a road that was nothing more than a dirt path lined with ramshackle fences. The size and condition of some of the houses made Baby Beluga look like a mansion. The truck crawled in front of a chain-link fence that had been threaded with bamboo sticks. "Aquí! Mira!" said Bernardo. "This is the address," said Fabiola. We got out of the truck, and Bernardo opened the gate. The small wood house seemed to lean to the right, as if one side was shorter than the other. The yard was dirt, with flower beds marked off by rocks arranged in circles. Ceramic statues of saints decorated almost every flower bed, along with small cement bowls filled with birdseed and old cooking pots filled with water. A tiny woman came out of the house wearing a long flower print skirt, tennis shoes with no laces, and a white blouse with pink embroidery. Her gray hair separated down the middle into two long braids. Bernardo and Fabiola walked forward and spoke to the woman before bringing her to us. "This is your great aunt Teresa," said Fabiola. "She speaks Zapotec and a little Spanish. And I speak Spanish and a little Zapotec. She says the parents of your father are no longer alive, and his brothers and sisters live in another part of the state." The woman studied Owen and stroked his hair. Then she took my face in her hands and turned it from side to side. Her touch was as gentle as a silky blanket. She nodded and spoke to Fabiola. "She says she can see the face of your father in your face," said Fabiola. I looked at Teresa. I searched for my father's face in hers. Did he have the same high cheeks, the same dark skin, and dancing eyes? Teresa went into the house and brought out orange drinks and cookies, and we all sat in plastic chairs under a tree. Every few minutes, Fabiola gave a running update on the conversation. "At one time, your father's family grew corn. They carved when there was not much field work. But now that the father of Santiago is no longer alive, and his brothers have moved away, Santiago is the only one to continue the carving. It is tradition that the carvers participate in La Noche de los Rábanos. A leon has entered the competition every year for over 100 years. 100 years, I said. That's amazing. Does Aunt Teresa come there too? Fabiola asked. She says no, that it is too many people, and the festivities continue too late at night. Besides, she has work to do for Santiago, and must finish before he arrives. Teresa stood up and waved at us to follow her to the ceramic statues of follow her to the backyard. She opened a door to a wooden shed and pointed inside. On makeshift shelves of boards and bricks, a brigade of wood carvings appeared before us, painted in every bright color and decorated with fancy black lines and tiny dots. Mermaids, tigers, roosters, nativity scenes, serpents, birds of prey, dancing rabbits, cats, bugs, and lions. My father did these? I asked, my eyes sweeping over the collection. Alabriques, said Teresa, smiling and nodding. That's the Zapotec word for wood carvings, said Fabiola. Sometimes we call them animalitos, little wooden animals. They are Santiago's. He brings them to her several times a year. It is the tradition that the men carve the alabriques and the women paint them. Teresa reached into her skirt pocket and handed an old photo to Bernardo, who handed it to me. Your father when he was a little boy, said Bernardo, with his father. Owen and I huddled over the photo. A happy boy, about 10 years old, held a wooden leopard and stood next to a man with a carving of a dog riding a bicycle. The boy had brown eyes, a mop of unruly brown hair, and milky brown skin. It looks just like you, Naomi, said Owen. Graham leaned over to see. For heaven's sake, you're the spitting image of him at that age. Even I could see it was true. Same hair, same eyes, same skin, same expression. I couldn't stop smiling. Teresa patted me on the shoulder, and when I tried to return the photo, she pressed it into my palm and closed my fingers around it. As we walked to the front yard, Bernardo said, There is something else. All the participants for the festival must register by December 18th at a municipal building. Pedro, Benny, and I We already put our names in the papers. But he comes every year, right? Said Owen. According to Teresa, he only missed 1 year when he could not get through because the roads flooded, said Fabiola. A Leon cousin carved for the family in the contest that year. Teresa is convinced he will come this year, with the permission of God, of course. He usually arrives in time for Las Posadas, because he loves very much to participate, and they start tonight. Graciela had already explained Las Posadas to me, how for 9 nights before Christmas, neighborhoods held their own get-togethers, walking through the streets, knocking on doors, pretending to look for shelter, just like Mary and Joseph did in Bethlehem. Today was the 16th. He'd have to be here within 2 days to register for the festival, and tonight his favorite celebration started. My stomach turned a cartwheel. Teresa will call some of her relatives so that maybe they can get a message to Santiago, but she worries that he is traveling already. Graciela, I said, and I gave her a quick Gracias, I said, and gave her a quick hug. On the way home in the truck, I stared at the photo in my hand of the smiling boy and his father. They were my family, who had come to this town year after year for one special occasion. I sat a little taller in my seat. No wonder Benny examined my carvings. I was from the Leon family, who had been carving the festival for over 100 years. I pulled out my notebook and added to everything we know about our father. 9. He loves Las Posadas. 10. I look just like him.